Okay, Hayley Brown, CEO of Noted Sport Reporters. Thanks for coming on Strong Like Bull. Appreciate it. All the way from Indiana to Purdue. It's where you went to school, and then out to California.
Yep.
So we break it up into sections. First, tell me your origin story, tell me your earliest memory, and then work your way all the way to today. And then we'll dive into your expertise a little bit, see if you can't teach me something new, and then we'll let everybody know how to get a hold of you and if they have any questions or anything. All right.
Well, yeah. Grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana. If you've ever been, right by the airport. Grew up right by the airport. I think we had the best childhood ever. I loved where we grew up, and I didn't necessarily realize that until I left. How great it was. But yeah, so grew up, went to Decatur Central High School. From there, went to Purdue University. It's funny. I was thinking about all of my education and stuff. And I remember being in high school and talking to the academic advisor about college and where I was going to apply and all of that. And I wasn't that great in school. I was kind of an average student. And I remember the academic advisor saying, well, you won't get into IU, you won't get into Butler, you won't get into Purdue. So throw those out. Don't even think about it. Don't even apply. Don't bother. You can go to any of these other schools. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to apply to all of those.
Crazy that that's somebody's job,
Yeah.
and like that kind of. I feel like that they weren't doing their job correctly, to encourage or prepare.
I mean, I kind of imagine when you are the academic advisor for a bunch of students year after year, you just look at the grades, you just look at the numbers, and you just kind of, based on what you've seen in the past and your experience, you probably just tell students based on what you've seen what they should do. But I'm kind of backward, and when anyone tells me I can't do something, I automatically am like, okay, well, watch me.
Challenge accepted. Hold my beer.
Yes. So I applied to all of the schools she told me not to. I got denied by all of them, got denied by Purdue, but I really wanted to go to Purdue. So I reapplied, and there's a whole reapplication process you go through, and then they accepted me. So
What was
went,
different the second time than the first time? Was it on your end or was it on their end?
it was on my end. I initially applied undecided because I didn't know what I wanted to major in. And then I narrowed down my major to film. I wanted to do motion picture editing.
Oh, I thought you went for lesbian dance theory.
I didn't. I didn't. No. So film doesn't necessarily have. They didn't at that time a ton of female students in that field, and so I do feel like that was a big reason why I got accepted. And then
I mean, once you get in, anyways, you can,
switch.
yeah, you can move
Yes,
around. It's just get in the door.
that's right. And I remember being in one of my film classes my freshman year at Purdue, and I remember a professor saying, "You guys won't get anywhere in film unless you live in California. So make sure that's in your plan."
And that was not in your plan.
No, no, I went to his office hours in tears and I said, "I know I'm never leaving Indiana. I know for a fact I'll never live in California." And so I switched my major. And 6 months after I graduated, I moved to California. Funny how things happen.
Yeah.
It all worked out. I graduated in 4 years, which was a huge blessing. I really,
Anymore it is, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. I think it's kind of rare to graduate in 4 years now. It was great. I love Purdue. I have some of the most cherished memories there. But yeah, soon after I graduated, I knew I wanted to leave Indiana just to experience something different. Moved to California. And then, gosh, that was 9 years ago now. So time flies. Feels like I just moved here 9 days ago. Doesn't feel like that much time's passed. But yeah. So from when I moved to Southern California, I was working for a job in Irvine for about a year and then fell into a sales position for a court reporting agency. First sales job, I didn't know what I was doing. And I was there for 6 years. So learned a lot in the 6 years. after that, after that 6 years, I kind of knew that, okay, I kind of have the hang of this, but I want to do my own thing. And that's when Noted was born. So we just turned 2. We're about 2.5 now. And yeah, things are going very well.
So why would you do that? As an entrepreneur, there's no such thing as a 40-hour work week. There's no such thing as, paid match. There's no such thing as PTO or weekends or holidays, at least in the beginning stages, or the first handful of years. Why would you fight nature and put yourself in that position? Because your mind will automatically try to avoid putting yourself in danger. The mind's number one purpose is survival. So why would you fight against that comfortable, more comfortable lifestyle? Because being an entrepreneur is not I wouldn't say it's an easier life, but why purposefully put yourself in a position where, one, you could lose everything, two, nothing is guaranteed, and you're the last one to eat?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely true that it's a tougher route to take. And I tell people all the time, look, I get not wanting to be an entrepreneur. I get wanting to have the guaranteed 9 to 5, know what you're getting paid, benefits, just everything's set, and you know what to expect. And especially 2 years being a new entrepreneur, and I'm learning everything along the way. But I chose the entrepreneurial route because I saw you do it, and I think you've been a catalyst a lot in me, in the risks that I've taken. I've seen you do it, and so it makes me want to try it too. But I would have always wondered what it was like. I know myself. I know that if I do decide that it's not what I want, I can do something else. It's not the end of the world. I think it's important to try things that make you uncomfortable, and experiencing that discomfort really builds character. And at the very least, you can tell people what your experience was and how it worked for you, and maybe give them advice if they're considering going that route.
Yeah, I think that being an employee, we have to tape it with some duct tape. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You can set it there. If so, I think having a job can be your plan A. It can also be your plan B. Being an entrepreneur can be your plan A, but generally speaking, shouldn't be, or it can't be your plan B.
That's right.
Like, hey, if the job doesn't work out, I'll just start my own business. Especially as you age, I think there's a kind of a tipping point where you're like, yeah, I can't risk everything now. I'm too far down the rabbit hole. I have too many responsibilities. I have a family, a house. I have bills. I have whatever. I have responsibilities. People count on me, and I need that guaranteed income. I can't risk everything. So generally speaking, the entrepreneurial route is not a plan. It's not designed to be plan B, but having a job can be either. It can be plan A or plan B. So the fact that you did it earlier in your career, if it doesn't work out or if it didn't work out, getting a job is an acceptable plan B.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. I don't put too much pressure on it, and I think that that's what makes it successful, is that I know what I'm capable of, and I know what kind of leader I am. Um, that just, it works out how it's meant to work out. That's how I view it. I think that if I come from a place of desperation, like I need this to work out, I need this to work out, I need this to be successful, I need it to be a certain size or whatever. I don't like pursuing leadership or a business coming from that place. It makes me feel um, just desperate. It makes me feel like it. I'm not. I'm not staying true to who I am if I conduct myself in that way. I think that it's successful because I work hard and I have good intentions, and I hope and pray that it reaches a certain size, and I let it go from there. I let it organically sort of happen how I believe it's meant to happen.
It's been the hardest thing coming from Indiana to California. I mean, because there are a lot of differences between Indiana and California, and it ranges the entire spectrum, right? So, I mean, like just the amount of greenery is different. The seasons are different. The weather is different. The traffic is different. The people are different. The culture is different. The activities are different. I would say I can't think of too many things that they even have in common other than they're both part of the United States. I can't think of anything that's in common. So what's been the most difficult thing coming, whenever you came from Indiana to California? What was the toughest adjustment?
Leaving family has always been the toughest thing for me. But other than that being just obvious, the biggest difference and the biggest challenge I would say is just the very fast pace of everything, the very go-getter, motivated. Not that not that the Midwest isn't. It's just a different lifestyle. It's a very expensive lifestyle. And
Here, it's
here,
expensive.
yes, here, I think people value the pace, the very successful type of lifestyle and mentality that you are oftentimes required to have out here to even live here. So that's the difference that I immediately noticed when I visited Indiana for the first time after living here. The pace of things is so obvious. The difference, it's so much, slower out there, and out here it's just so fast. It's so fast. That's been the biggest, I think, change for me. But, the people say Californians are, not the nicest. I haven't had that experience. Maybe that's just because I'm in Southern California and our industry has been very welcoming to us. But yeah, I think people are different. They're just different, not good or bad.
Yeah. Okay. Was it difficult starting over and like not having a network of friends? I mean, you came out, you didn't know anybody other than me.
Right. It wasn't as hard as I thought it'd be. Just because I don't, even back home, I didn't have a huge friend group. And then I kind of liked being the new kid on the block out here. I really enjoyed that sort of like starting over, new place, not knowing anyone. I really, really enjoyed it. It makes me want to move somewhere else now. Be a new kid. But no, it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. I've always kind of been a loner.
Well, that's interesting. Tell me, like, what kind of kid were you growing up? Would you say that you were a good kid, or were you the kid that other parents would tell their kids to, like, hey, just stay away from her? Or, um, but yeah, what kind of, if you asked adults from your childhood what kind of kid Haley was, what would they say? And then what do you think you were like as a kid?
I think other people, adults, and other parents probably say I was a good kid, the good sort of goody two shoes, probably not like teacher's pet intentionally, but I was just I've always naturally been a people pleaser, so I've always wanted to make people happy and for people to like me, be perfect. So that's always made me want to be, on my best behavior, but also like we were raised to be good kids. We were raised to have manners, be polite, be a good student, treat our elders with respect and all of that. So it was instilled in me in a very young age to be a good kid, a good person. And yeah, I think other people would say that too.
What I try to do in this, whenever I'm listening to origin stories, is try to connect the dots of ultimately becoming an entrepreneur to something in your past or a series of things or experiences that open that personality type. So do you feel like whenever you were a kid you were entrepreneurial spirited, or is this something that's been learned, or is this, yeah, where do you think that came from?
It's certainly been learned. It does not come natural to me at all. I vividly remember being in fifth grade and we were talking about careers and what we wanted to be when we grew up. And I remember thinking, oh, like, I don't really know what I'll be, maybe a veterinarian or maybe a treasure hunter, but very realistic. But I remember thinking, I know for sure what I won't be. I know I won't be president or a CEO of a company. I know I won't have my own business. I know I won't be like this millionaire or anything like that
Because of your personality type?
because of my personality type. I didn't think I had it in me to be that type of leader. Um, and it's so funny, like the things I said I'd never do. I'd never leave Indiana. I'd never go to, you know, California. I'll never be a CEO. Those things have strangely happened. But yeah, I always grew up thinking like, I don't know what I'll be, but I know what I won't be. And I think that does just come from me being kind of shy and soft spoken and kind of reserved and to myself. I think being a president of a company or a CEO of a company, you get this oftentimes misconception that you have to be super intense and in people's faces, this like very outgoing personality type. And I just was never any of those things. So I didn't think it was ever even a remote possibility.
So why did that change?
I think that changed when I started to see success in my sales career, because in sales, you're kind of taught, like, you're taught to run it as your own company. And so when you start thinking of it like that, like, okay, maybe I can run my own company. I think for me, I realized, and I had seen other people in leadership roles who owned their own businesses that weren't in your face. They weren't arrogant or cocky or, these big personality types. They were successful and they kind of had temperaments like I did. And so that's when I really started to understand that you could be successful um, and have a sort of more introverted personality. That's when I realized it could be a possibility. And then when you see the people you surround yourself with that encourage you to do it, and it really does build up your confidence level to take the risk.
Yeah, I think that's the what's it called whenever a certain group of people have certain stigma, right? That's the stereotype. I think that's the stereotype that even professors and teachers have of people that, entrepreneurs or CEOs or business people, right? They think it's this like cutthroat, crazy Amazon-like environment where, only, the survival of the fittest type of thing, which ultimately gets the school system to push people away from those type of fields or studies because they think that you need to be a certain personality type. But a good manager, somebody that's organized, somebody that has a figure it out about them, it could make a fantastic CEO or entrepreneur. And then you hire for your weaknesses, right? I mean, you got to be a jack of all trades a little bit and have a little bit of sales, a little bit of management, a little bit of organization, a little bit of figure it out. But yeah, I think that, I mean, because I was kind of the opposite of you, is that I was that cutthroat lion that was going and swinging, but I didn't have my stuff together. I wasn't organized. I wasn't a good manager. I wasn't a good teacher. I wasn't a good communicator, but I knew what I wanted and just kind of like powered my way through. And so it could very well be the opposite too. And, you just got to power your way through with the sales until um, figure out a different solution. But yeah, I think that it is not reserved for a certain type of personality.
I think that probably the common denominator among a lot of CEOs is just courage and mental fortitude and resilience, because those are the things that I have found that I fall back on when I don't really know what to do or I don't have the answers to everything. You just have to have those things to figure it out along the way. But yeah, I don't think it's reserved for any sort of personality type. It's really just, do you want it bad enough? You have to want it more than anyone else wants it for you.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I asked my partners, Carlos and Josh, the exact same question. And I was waiting for them to ask me, what were you like as a kid? And what would parents think of you as a kid? They never did. But I had the answer in my head.
Okay.
And it was exactly what you just said,
Really?
is that if you asked other parents of when I was a kid of what they thought of me, is that I was undersized. So I was always the youngest in my grade. Wasn't the physical specimen or didn't have the IQ of a genius or anything like that, I sure as hell wanted it more than anybody else. Winning satisfied me more than anybody else, and losing hurt me more than it did anybody else. Yeah, funny you say that because that was going to be my exact answer if they ever asked me, but they never did. Um, yeah, it was going to be. I just wanted it more, which I think breeds or which develops a figured out type of personality, which I think is the number one tool of being an entrepreneur. Figure it out.
Yeah,
I don't
and
care how educated you are. There are going to be so 90% of starting a business you don't know how to do.
that believe that. But yeah, I think that part of having that figured out, trusting yourself. And I think that a lot of the times people struggle with making choices because they don't know what the right choice is. There's no way to know. You have to fall back on trusting yourself and in order to make a choice that you don't know if is the right one, but you figured out it's not the right one. There's another choice.
So you think that it didn't really kick in for you until you transitioned from admin to sales? That so sales helped you identify that like, hey, there's more in me than I thought.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Sales helped me get out of my comfort zone because you have to get out in front of people, you have to talk to people, you have to socialize and, sell your services and product to people and retain that business. So doing that successfully really built up my confidence and it taught me a lot. And of course, I think when you work for someone and you're in the sales department, there are certain things that you're kept out of intentionally. And maybe that is because, they don't want you going off and, starting your own thing. There are things that you're just intentionally left out of and you're not taught. So you have to figure those things out. But yeah, sales was a big part of building my confidence enough to believe in myself that, yeah, I might not know everything and I might not make the right choices the first time, but I at least want to try.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's some truth to that. That any producer in a business is probably the most likely to break off or to leave and start their own thing, right? Because they know they can bring in the business and they can figure out the rest or they can afford the help because they are able to produce revenue. You know what I think your what's it called, like an inflection point? Is that the right?
I don't know.
I don't know. We're from Indiana, so
Words are harsh.
let's go with that. Let's go with inflection point. I think the inflection point for you or the change was and I can take this out if if you don't want this out there. But I think I think this is another step both for me and you in letting people in a little bit more. So anyways, I think that your inflection point was so you had a boyfriend for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. Is that right? 5 or 6? 4 or 5, 6 years. Yeah, all through college, and I think it started in high school. When you guys split up, I think that is what. So if you look at a line or a graph of your life when that happened, you could go two ways, and maybe you did go both ways a little bit. But I mean, you can either get mad or get sad. Mad is in motivated, or sad is in more of a victim mentality. And maybe everybody goes that way for the first few days or first few months. I don't know. But I think when that happened, I don't know if it triggered something, but at the very least, it freed you up
Right. I
to
I would say
be
that.
able to do anything. And then California was an option because if you guys were still together, it would have never happened. It would have never happened. You'd be living in a house in Indiana right now, a couple of kids and dogs running around on, a couple acres of land, which is a great life. But what you have now would not have been in the cards, I don't think, if
No.
that didn't happen.
No, never. Never. yeah, when you're in a relationship, you feel tethered to a place. And when I wasn't anymore, I wasn't tethered to Indiana as far as a relationship went, but I felt tethered in a way because family was still there. It was my home. But like we've always said, home will always be there and you can always go back if you want. I think you even said that you thought I would move back after a year of being here.
But at least if you came out, it would have been a good experience for you.
Right. Right. So yeah, that was definitely the point of, okay, well, I can and probably should go somewhere just to experience something other than what I've seen my entire life. It would be a good growing experience and see what happens. I didn't have any expectation as far as what I wanted. I just wanted to try it. That's kind of how I look at business too. And I don't I have an expectation and I have goals for the company, but as far as needing them and requiring them, that's where I'm kind of I have a looser hold on that outcome because I feel like if I have an outcome that it ties me to that, and either I don't hit it or I don't surpass it, and I want to have the option to surpass what I envision. I
Yeah.
want it to be bigger than what I can imagine.
Yeah, I'm not much of a planner. Things change.
Things always change, and nothing ever goes according to plan.
Exactly.
So it's good to have an idea of what you want, but it's important to know that it might not go that way.
Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, something bad goes wrong
Yeah,
every day, without exception. And I've always tried to be very truthful with people about that. And if that doesn't make you shy away from it, then okay, you might have what it takes. But if, adversity is not, in your comfort zone or is something you completely want to stay away from, then it's not the world for you.
and even if you do approach your business with a very things are going to work out, things are going to be okay, like this is going to work out for me, I'm going to be successful, that will help. But things will still come up that you have to fix.
Yeah.
That's not, it doesn't eliminate
That you've never fixed before. Like I said,
that
90%
you
of what
don't know how
happens,
to fix.
90% of a business and everything that happens in it, you've never experienced and you don't know anything about. Like you
Right.
have to figure it out.
Yeah. And I'm very fortunate to have partners and people around me who own their own businesses. And so I have a great network that I can reach out to and ask questions. But yeah, like you didn't have anyone to rely on or fall back on or ask questions. I mean, I'm sure you would figure it out because you do that and that's what you did. But I'm not sure I would have done what I did without my network, my partners, and my support around me.
I'm sure you would have figured it out. Maybe not the exact same way, but it would have. Interesting. Yeah, hearing everybody's stories it's interesting how there are several ways to get to the entrepreneur level, several paths to get there, and there's several reasons people go that way, but there are some common traits too. But like, for example, maybe you're not a natural born entrepreneur, or you're a manufactured one, a self-manufactured one, and to where like the last episode with Stephanie with Key Life Insurance, she came over on a boat and they were like in this refugee camp and her dad had to like make this machine. He's never made it before, but had made noodles because all they were served was rice to where just the smell of rice was all they wanted. Not even to eat it, just to smell it was satisfying. But like to make everything that you have. And then she like had to make, her mom was a seamstress or something and they had to make their own clothes. And so like, I feel like that's maybe a little bit more natural born entrepreneur. Like, hey, like working for somebody else was just never in the cards for me. I think it's interesting that there are several ways to get there. Josh is maybe a mix of both. He was an employee for a very long time, 20 plus years, I think. And then, maybe just met the right people or, certain events took place. And then, a lot of those skills were transferable, luckily for him.
It is fascinating people's upbringings and where it leads them. Like our parents from as far back as I can remember, always told us, you can do anything you set your mind to. You can chase your dreams, shoot for the stars, do whatever you want to do. You can achieve it. And for some reason, my whole life, I have told myself, oh, no, you're not capable. Even though externally I was being told, no, you can do anything. Do it all. You have, all the resources in the world to do it. And I did. And then other people like Stephanie, who probably had to face adversity after adversity their entire lives, and then succeed, when they maybe weren't, I don't know her story, but people who weren't provided that sort of encouragement still have that resilience about them and still do it despite all of that. So yeah, it's really fascinating.
Yeah. And I think that, what you said about mom and dad too, that, I think it's important to avoid obstacles and anchors. And I think both mom and dad they're either in one of two positions when it comes to us. It's either neutral, where they just get out of the way, or it's positive, where, they provide that jet fuel and support or cheerleading or whatever it takes for us to do it. But if they ever feel like they're going to be detrimental to any sort of effort, I feel like they get out of the way, which is, one of the best things that somebody can do for you is that, hey, I feel like in this situation I might be an anchor. Do you spread your wings, go, right? And I think that that's important to have those kind of people in your life that are never in a position of negative, taking away or slowing you down or anything like that, right? They don't have to be the reason you're succeeding, because sometimes they just need to get out of the way, whether it's your parents or siblings or spouse or anything, right? That our friends even, that as long as they're in a position of neutral or positive, that's a good long relationship. But if anybody's ever negative or heavy or an anchor slowing you down, that can get toxic.
Yeah, I can. I can't think of anyone in my life that is that for me, but I don't entertain that. So I don't think either one of us do entertain people who just drag us down or slow us down or are negative to us. But yeah, I just think about when we told mom that I was moving out here. And I don't think she was necessarily super excited about it. I think it really upset her. And not because she didn't want me to, but just because she was probably sad that we were both going to be out here. And I think maybe that was a specific instance where she wasn't super like, do it, do it, do it. She was more neutral. She didn't say, don't do it. But I know that it was hard to be super encouraging with that choice that I made.
Well, I mean, you being an adult was super new for
Yeah.
her too, right? It's not like you'd been in the workforce for 10 years and
Yeah. It was a little scary for her too.
yeah. 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 I think it's super interesting. Just the paths that people take to becoming an entrepreneur. That's like the whole point of this thing.
Yeah. I mean, I probably never would have left if you didn't, make the move out here. If you'd have moved to Texas, I probably would have moved to Texas. If you would have went to Florida, I probably would have went to Florida. But yeah, it's funny seeing like me kind of following your footsteps.
Well, I mean, I think I had that too. Just with, motivational speakers, they were the ones that, got me kind of jacked. Okay. So noted court reporters, court reporting. Tell me about court reporting and try to teach me something I don't know. So court reporting, I think of, you can't handle the truth. And the lady with long nails in the corner going,
That is indeed a court reporter. Yes.
"Look,
Yes, you're accurate. Yeah, a court reporter is someone that types the official transcript in legal proceedings. So that's what Noted does. But something you may not know, or people may not know, is that not all court reporters do, court work. So you see a courtroom on TV and you see the court reporter typing. not all of them do that in a courtroom. So our court reporters type up the transcript in a conference room or a law firm's office in what we call depositions, which is outside of the courtroom. And so when I tell people that, they're like, "Oh yeah, I know, I've seen that on TV. Like, is someone in the courtroom?" And when I tell them none of the court reporters that work with Noted are actually in a courtroom, they're like, "What? That makes no sense. They're a court reporter."
Have you ever been to one of these depositions
Have I ever been to a deposition? No.
to like see the court reporter in action?
I've seen a court reporter in action, but I've never been to a deposition.
Where did you see a court reporter in action?
I have been to conferences where there's a court reporter and like a court reporter conference, essentially.
Yeah, I was curious that like, do they make this person sit in the corner? Like the attorney's questioning the guy that committed murder or whatever, and they tell the court reporter to go sit in the corner and don't say a word and that kind of thing. Read that back.
Yes.
Like that type of thing.
Yeah.
Or are they sitting right there at the table, kind of a distraction? I've always wondered that, is that are they in the way, or are they tucked in a corner of a conference room? Because in court, they're kind of out of the way. They're not in the picture. They're not, you may get a glance of them here and there, but
They need to. I have been to a couple depositions. It's all coming back to me. I have been to a couple depositions where I had to take devices for like hybrid setup.
okay. So
And
like
so
virtual
where
people.
some people are in person, some people are remote. So yeah, the most important thing is that they hear everyone clearly so that they can transcribe an accurate transcript or type an accurate transcript. And so they are very much there, depending on the setup in the conference room and the location. They are, say there's 4 people in the court reporter, it's going to be 2 on one side, 2 on the other, and then the court reporter at the end so that they can hear everyone clearly.
Isn't it a weird machine too? Like it's its own language. It's not a regular keyboard, is it?
No, it's called a steno machine. So it has 22 keys. Essentially, a court reporter is going to
22 keys,
mhm.
and a regular one has 26 plus like numbers 36 plus punctuation, say 40 to 45 keys that are regularly used with enter and space and shift and stuff like that, right? So maybe, okay, 40, 45 keys are typically used, and they only have 22.
Right. So the strokes are, for each key, are groupings of letters. And then that, transcribes symbols.
Like what? Like TH?
Mm-hmm.
And
Or like they can set their dictionaries for certain keys to be certain words that they always hit.
and
And
the the that's from Dumb and Dumber. And they still cover the entire dictionary with groupings. Well,
yes,
why don't we all do that?
it's their own language. Like you said, it takes a lot of schooling, a lot of practice.
I mean, they should just change the keyboard in schools.
Yeah.
The 22 buttons.
I guess you could. Efficiency.
Okay. Hold on. Let's stick on this for a second. So there's 22 buttons. That doesn't even cover every letter in the alphabet. So I can think of things that they can't type. So say Y is not its own button, right? If there's 22 buttons and there's 26 letters in the alphabet, there's at least 4 letters that don't have its own button, right? Okay, so say Z. That's probably the least used thing, right? And so if the person is speaking and they said, well, my first name starts with a Z, how does the court reporter type that if Z is not, what they could do? They could probably do ZY and then backspace
Right.
1. I guess that's
Right.
the workaround.
I'd have to ask. Maybe Todd. Todd would be a good person to ask and see what they do in that situation.
Until I know that answer, currently I have an issue with
22 keys. Yeah. I wish I knew it all about being a court reporter. This is another thing people find so interesting. I've never been a court reporter, but I have an agency. So yeah, I don't know all the technical things court reporters do.
So how would you describe your firm? If you're not the expert on the widget, what does your firm do?
We are the agency that connects the expert to our clients, and we facilitate that for our clients.
So you're a broker. Yeah. I'm a broker by trade too, insurance. I think that that's the best place to be. Like
Yeah,
being the middleman that, you connect people, right? You're a connector, your logistics, like that, the scheduling company, however you want to word it. I think that that is the place you want to be. Let the experts have the liability and don't be the one that needs to depose somebody, right?
right.
But hey, I can connect the person that needs to depose somebody with a court reporter.
Parties need one another. Court
Right.
reporters, you know, most of them need an agency to funnel work to them.
Yeah, because they're not going to go out and get their own sales and perform the depositions.
Some do, but very few, I would say. So yeah, that's why they're 99 contract freelance court reporters that work for multiple agencies, so they get multiple,
Right.
streams of work.
And it keeps an element of independence.
Yes. Yep. And then the clients, I mean, they, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of them have their favorite court reporters, but they're being marketed by agencies and agency owners and agency salespeople day after day. And so, of course, they're going to, go through them to facilitate the entire deal, do a conference room, get a device there, get an interpreter as well, and do the whole thing. Create the Zoom link, send it to all the parties, all of that. So all parties need one another, which is a good.
Okay, so, a lot of people say, including people that have sat where you're sitting, is like, do what you love, chase your passion. Do you feel like you agree with that? And then also, are you super passionate about court reporting?
I think I mean, it's not a natural passion of mine, but once
Hmm.
I got into it,
Where?
it was strange. No, I'd never even heard of it before I was suddenly selling it. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. They're like, never even heard of court reporting, but okay. So no, for me, it came with being immersed in it and learning about it. Yeah, because if you're not passionate about your entrepreneurial sort of venture, then I'm not sure how much other people will be passionate about partnering with you and using you and your services. So I'm not a naturally like super loud, excited, passionate person about anything, really. But I am very passionate about Noted and us succeeding and doing well for our clients and, um, doing well for our employees and our court reporters and that. And I want us to be a worthy competitor for other agencies too. I totally respect other court reporting agencies. I respect other court reporting owners because of how challenging it has become with the shortage of reporters.
So you like want to be in that club?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think we've earned a place in that club.
Yeah.
I think we've proven ourselves as worthy competitors. And I will call other agency owners, ask them questions, and everyone is or the ones that I surround myself with are very open to and excited that another agency is on the block, because for a while there, I think it was considered a dying industry. And so with new agencies opening up, it's a good sign. It's a sign of vitality. Like, words are hard. But,
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm the same way. I'm not pet. I hate the word passion. It's like the word moist. It's just gross. I don't know. I
don't
don't
say
like it.
that.
Uh,
Don't say
I'm not, necessarily hyped up about any sort of widget.
right.
It's the pursuit of being an entrepreneur is what I'm,
Don't say that.
and like just being the best. We could be selling ketchup packets for all I care, and I'd want to be the biggest and baddest and best ketchup packet salesperson in the world. You know,
You could sell a ketchup packet to a woman in white gloves.
what is that off of?
Tommy Boy? Or does he say just ketchup? Your dad could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves.
Ketchup popsicle, Richard. Yeah, Tommy Boy.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think you're a natural born entrepreneur. And so you could sell anything to anyone. And I think that you know that. It's just your personality. And for me, I'm not sure. I think that I would need to be halfway interested in it.
Yeah, but like it is the competition, the
Yeah,
the building of something, right? So like
right.
if somebody is excited about or passionate about building, like with, you know, sticks and stones and bricks, does it matter if it's a home or a skyscraper? You know, they're passionate about building. And I think that's the way I am with see being an entrepreneur and trying to build businesses as being a builder of structures, right? But it's just a different widget. And that's what I mean. I don't care if it's ketchup or court reporting or insurance or whatever, right? So I think that's my do what you love type of thing. But, you know, I've always said this is that I just think it's flawed advice to young people of, you know, do what you love, do what you're passionate about. Like, well, first, you're a kid. You don't know what you're passionate about because you haven't experienced anything. And so I think my advice has always been do what you're good at. Sorry, not that. Get good at something. If you get good at something, you'll become passionate about it. And then if you're passionate about it, you'll enjoy it. So I think people have it backwards when they say, well, you know, do what you love. All right, well, everybody's going to be a goddamn Instagram influencer
Yeah.
because
Which I think
that's what
40%
everybody's
of
into.
Gen Z wants to be that now.
Yeah, that's what
You
everybody's
know?
into is their goddamn phone. So, um,
It's just like someone saying, be who you are. Who you are is enough. It's like,
no, be
no,
better,
yeah,
get better.
who you are is not enough. I think that's why religion exists. I think
Hmm.
I mean, you have to strive for more and have a higher standard than that. Humans are imperfect. Yeah, I think that's along the same lines.
Yeah, I would say get good at something. I mean, just like, you know, if your parents put you in baseball and, you know, you just don't really not into it. But, you know, a couple months in, you still have to go to practice. You know, your parents are forcing you to do it. Then you hit a home run. And you're like, what? I could get used to this. You know, then you know, get a handful of more hits. Then you steal a base. You know, then you make a diving catch. You're like, dude, Dad, like, let's go to practice. It's totally
Like that
changed.
runner's high.
Yeah, but that would have never happened if they follow advice that, well, just do what you love. I would say get out there and experience things and you will figure out what you want to get good at and then get good at it and then you'll love it to where like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why that bothers me so much. But it's always bothered me, you know, do what you love, you know, chase you never work a day in your life if you love what you do, blah blah blah, right? Just get good at something and you'll love it. You can learn to love. Like that is a thing. Like that's not something mystical that God gives you, you know, you there's LeBron James plays basketball because he was good at basketball, right? And then he stuck with it because he was good. He loved it after that. But it wasn't a memo from God one day that says, "Hey, you know, you should chase basketball."
Hmm.
You know, with it implanted in him that love basketball. I know you've never played it before, but make sure you love it.
Yeah, I think like of all my hobbies that I have, if I had to do them and as a job or, you know, I'd probably end up hating them
Yeah.
because I just love doing them. But if you're suddenly it's your job and you're forced to love it and you're forced to, do it day in and day out, you'd probably
It
start
was
to
fun,
resent
but
it.
it became a job.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting. You ever wonder about like what I sometimes wonder if God gave me a special talent that I haven't tapped into yet and I don't know what it is? Maybe I'm like a maybe I'm like an amazing spear fisher and I don't know it. So I've never tried it. Maybe it's like my God-given talent.
Be equal talent.
Or like a dolphin trainer. Maybe I just know I just
Something with
have
water,
a
obviously. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, every now and then when I'm by myself, I'll like try to see if I can tap into one of my superpowers, but no dice yet. You know, whenever I was gonna have you on, I said to somebody, I think I just said this to myself actually. Um, that man, like that's gonna be a dry humored episode. We're both like very straight faced, dry humor type of Vince Vaughn esque type of humor. Interesting. So what's your all time favorite comedy? Because you're very very funny.
Dumb and Dumber. No question. And then Tommy Boy.
Well, yeah, I mean those are like the best films, but like are they the best? So they're also your favorite?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they're lightning in a bottle for sure. But that and Wedding Crashers.
Wedding Crashers, Unmatched. That's the best like newer comedy.
I think it's the best written. It's the best written comedy, and performance is great too. But Dumb and Dumber and Tommy Boy are the best performed, like best performance from the actors.
100%. I watch him back now and I'm like, that is the dumbest humor ever. How did I ever think that was funny? But the performance is what sells it. And then, yeah, Wedding Crashers, Vince Vaughn is just amazing.
The thing about Dumb and Dumber too is like it was lightning in a bottle. I don't know. I don't know if it was an era type thing or what, but like they tried to do another one, not the same thing.
No,
Even the crispness of the clarity of the film,
film,
like the visual clarity,
right.
threw it off to me. Like
Yeah, it made it
I
terrible.
could see that the manicuredness of Jim Carrey. In the first one, it was in the early '90s. It was fuzzy, anyways, right? So you can't really see that his hairline is absolutely perfect, and that his makeup is bright and beautiful and blah blah blah, right?
Yeah, they tried too hard to mimic that, and you can't mimic that. It was too authentic and too pure of comedy to try to recreate, even with the same people.
Yeah,
You just can't because it's different times, everything. So
yeah, very
yeah,
strange. Yeah, you're right. And even Dumb and Dumber is very extra,
yeah,
and but then you try to do it again, and it's like even more extra and even more obvious
right.
that
It makes
it's
you
extra.
cringe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, that is so weird, and it's the exact same people, exact same director as well. I think that is so strange how that works. Is that well, you know what? And if anything, I think that the lesson in that is like be yourself.
yeah,
And I feel like the first one was them just being them and being goofy and being blah, blah. It's not forced. And the second one, they forced it, and it's a dumpster fire, which I think that is a good lesson in business, whether you're, whether you have a job or you own a business, is like be genuine, be yourself. And there will be people that hate you for it. There will be people that don't want to do business with you. There will also be people that do want to do business with you for a very long time, forever, repeatedly, right? And yeah, I mean, because that's the way I am, is that I am unapologetically me. Some people hate me for it. I'm not the easiest person to work with. I'm not the easiest person to work for. Uh, but I'm never fake, never forced. When what you what you hear is what I'm thinking. Period. I mean, I hold back sometimes, like I bite my tongue or don't say stuff, but I'll never say something that is not 100% me, at least in that moment.
Yeah. No, and I think that's important for people to see, especially out here. I don't think that that's the norm, but yeah, I think about all the time how I'm not going to associate with people that I don't enjoy being around, and that goes for my personal life and professional life too. I am going to be in business with people who I enjoy being in business with, that I enjoy working with. I'm not going to retain a client that is not a good client for me. That is a very short-lived sort of thing that would happen. I think that the business that takes longer to get and is
Tougher
more
to lose.
genuine, it's tougher to lose. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but yeah, that sort of short-lived, just get business for business sake is not at all my sort of mentality or the way that I do business. So
I said how you get a client is how you lose a client. So if you get a client because came in 10% cheaper, as soon as somebody else comes in 10% cheaper, that's how you're going to lose the account too.
oh yeah. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, if just your rates are the only reason you get business, that can easily be be taken from you. So yeah, I prefer to work with people who I get along with and that I like and that I can be friends with. That's what I appreciate most. I think that's what makes a good business partnership, when you can call someone up and be like, hey, look, sorry, I messed up. And I'm telling on myself right now, but I'm gonna make it right because it's the right thing to do.
And their mind doesn't immediately go to divorce.
Right. Right. You have that sort of foundation of friendship there that sometimes save you in those instances where business happens and mistakes happen. Everyone's human. Mistakes will happen. And oftentimes it's those that you hear, the mistakes are what you hear about. It's not
Right.
when
A
they
great
had an
day.
awesome court
Right.
reporter at their deposition. Sometimes you get that, but that should be the standard. That's how it should go. So you're not going to get a call every time it goes right. You're going to get a call when it goes wrong. So um, having that friendship there can really be the buffer between. It does, yeah. But yeah, business is funny. I don't I don't think there's any right way to do it. It's just
You just do it.
you just do it. But no, staying true to like your values and your character and your ethics, and all of that is what matters at the end of the day.
So is it comfortable for you or strange for you to be on a podcast? Like, are you good at talking about yourself? Are you good at yeah, do you, that sounded so loaded, but is this something that you're into, public speaking and stuff like that?
No, it is challenging for me because I don't like the sound of my own voice.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't even,
And
I'm in
so
your
my
voice.
voice, thanks. I know and for some reason that really it messes me up when I hear my own voice.
Is that why you didn't want to wear headphones?
Yes, that's exactly why I can't hear myself. No, so during COVID, I actually wanted to start a political. I never did because politics are very divisive. But I feel like the more you do it, and even the more you watch podcasts, the more you probably become better at it.
Just
So
reps,
yeah, like
reps.
anything.
That's what I tell my son.
Yeah,
Just reps. So have you ever read Arnold Schwarzenegger's book?
I have not.
You should. Even if it's like audio, like put it in your car, download it on whatever you download books on,
Audible.
Audible. It's probably the best book I've ever read.
What's it called?
Total Recall
Okay.
by Arnold Schwarzenegger. But he talks about how reps is the only reason he was ever good at anything. And so like he wanted to be a bodybuilder and he became Mr. Universe like what 5 times, and it's because of reps. That's where he learned by lifting weights. He learned that the more reps you do, the better something gets. So then he wanted to be an actor, and he would do reps of working on his the way he spoke and acting classes and stuff like that. It was just reps, 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 reps. Then he wanted to get it, and he became the biggest movie star in the world And then he wanted to get into politics and just reps again. He went to as many dinners as he could, surrounded himself with as many politicians as he could, read as many books as he could, blah, 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 just reps, 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 reps. And he became a Republican governor of the largest Democrat state in our country, California. So like he just didn't do things. Like he did things to like the top.
Yeah, he's
And
someone who's just maxes out in every way.
Well, there's a lot of like behind the scenes stuff too. Like do you know how he made his first $1 million?
Mm-mm.
Real estate in Santa Monica. Yeah. So there's a lot of like behind the scenes stuff too. Like, man, this guy was a businessman and he was, you see videos of him goofing off in the gym or whatever and being happy go lucky, but he was focused. He's been focused his entire life. And it was not fun and games. It was not, you know, wanting the celebrity lifestyle and enjoying the fruits of that labor. Like that was not his deal. Like he always needed a goal or a North Star to chase. And then he just used what he learned in weightlifting as a teenager, that reps make you better. That's what I tell Landon. Like reps is the only way to get better at something, period. Do it over and over and over again. And like, yeah, I mean, even the first podcast I did, I was, nervous, not knowing what to ask and blah, blah, and then you go through it a handful of times and, it, yeah, also you become numb to some things. You become numb to all of the cameras, numb to, the microphone or forced conversations or whatever. And, you learn little tips and tricks of editing and stuff like that where you can, kill dead space and pause. But yeah, it's reps. Yeah, I was just asking because I was the same way. I hate the way I sound. I still hate the way I sound. But eventually you're just like, all right, like I don't care if this goes good or bad. Or I do care, but this may go well and this may be a absolute train wreck.
Right.
But I'm doing it regardless. Either way. If it's really bad or it's really good, I'm doing it regardless. And so if you force through that, you push through that phase, then you get a little bit more comfortable with it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do another episode.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll
on politics.
Sure.
Or movie quotes. Or sport.
Okay. Or all of them.
Or all of them. Yeah. Because, yeah, I would like to get better. I like the whole podcast, the idea of a podcast. I think it's interesting hearing people's stories and people's viewpoints mostly on things. But, yeah, reps.
Okay, so sorry, back to court reporting. Is there anything else that you think that I may not know about the industry or, people watching? The whole point of this section is just trying to teach me something that I don't know. I'm trying to think of questions that I have about that industry. I just feel like it's very straightforward. What does the schooling look like and the licensing and stuff like that? Like how is that a 1-year thing? Is that a 3-month class?
I believe the schooling is around 3 years.
Jesus.
And I know that the tests are super hard to pass. I know that a lot of people don't pass or get out of schooling in that 3 years.
Are there many court reporters? I feel like that's a expensive requirement.
I think that's why there are fewer court reporters. But there still are. I mean, people still go to court reporting school and all of that. But they actually just lowered the requirement, the passing score from 90. The accuracy score used to be 97.5%. Now I think they lowered it to 95%. So more people will get through, and I don't agree.
So now we're gonna have a bunch of bad court reporters.
No, they're still good. That's a phenomenal passing score.
So you have to pretty much ace it.
You do have to ace it, yeah. I think I don't like the idea of lowering standards for people.
I agree.
I don't think people need that. Even if there is a shortage, they don't need the standards lowered. If it takes them 5 years, 12 years to pass, that's what it takes them. If they want to keep trying after that amount of time, God bless them.
Yeah.
They deserve it after that, But
it'd be Wouldn't be good if they did that for like pilots or
pilots. Yeah.
doctors. Okay,
I don't want the standards
we're lowering the
lowered.
standard from 90% to 70%.
Exactly. I mean, you don't want that in any industry for the standards to be lower. You want as close to perfect as possible, if not perfect.
Or at least predictable and consistent.
Right. So I don't necessarily agree with that because I think that sort of ruminates and spreads throughout life. If you start to do that for every industry, lowering the standards before you know it'll be 50%.
I bet current
So
court reporters are also against it.
I
Hey,
would,
we took it in pass, and now we're going to have
yeah,
new competition coming into the space that didn't do what we did.
I could see that. I could see that being the case, and I very well would probably feel that way too. Um, and now California has also legalized the voice writers. So the court reporters that they speak into a mask. And so they're called voice writers, and they essentially are speaking into a mask during a deposition.
Wouldn't that get annoying?
You can't hear them, but they're repeating what everyone is saying into the mask, and it's transcribing what they're saying, their computer, their software. And
Okay, but if there's multiple people talking, she says, attorney one, blah, 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 blah.
yeah, I'm not sure how they differentiate between who's speaking, like what they say, like person one, person two, person three. I don't
Why
know.
don't they just record it?
Because it has to be the official record.
I'm not trying to eliminate the industry or anything, but,
Yes.
I feel like if you just put a voice or just like this, whenever you talk into that, there's a recorded track. And when I talk into this, there's a recorded track. And it does a lot of stuff for you. Even it says Zach is talking, and then it'll say Hayley is talking.
I imagine with the way things are going, things might, evolve into that. But for now, you need an official court, court reporter, state certified.
It reminds me of notaries.
Or yeah.
You remember the episode in King of Queens where the dad becomes a notary?
Arthur?
Yeah.
I should know this.
He becomes a notary, and he's so, he's talking it up, how important it is, and how difficult it is, and Carrie's like, don't you just watch people sign stuff?
I don't remember that
He's like, there's a
episode.
lot more to it, darling. Anyways, she ends up needing a notary, and she goes to sign something, and like a dog barks outside, and he like looks back through the window, and then he looks back at the document, and she's getting up, and she already signed it, and he's like,
This is not a King of Queens episode.
yeah, it is.
I don't think so.
Because he's like, oh man, I didn't see her sign it. Because
My
he like
gosh.
looks away. There's a dog barking, or a lawnmower starts outside, and he looks like this, and she signs it. And then she gets up, and he's like,
Oh my gosh, this is not an episode. This is not.
it is. It's hilarious.
Is it a Seinfeld episode?
No, I don't watch Seinfeld. It is King of Queens. It's Arthur and Carrie. And it just I've always thought, I don't think court reporting is silly. I think I'm curious about the logic of it, that like a notary, I don't need somebody to sit there and just watch me sign something. I don't know. I feel like there's a better way. Maybe we can be the game changers in this, but yeah, I feel like even this podcast setup is like, it does something similar to what court reporters doing. Like I get a transcript of both of us, and it's pretty accurate for the most part. And I guess what I'm saying is, do you think that court reporter, their duties might eventually change? You might still need to be licensed because there is a liability there, and you need to be independent in your review of things, but you're just reviewing the transcript, right? You listen to the recording or you watch the video, and you look at the transcript that was produced from this, and you just make sure that it is in order, right? If they said, I did 4 push-ups, it doesn't say F-O-R. It says F-O-U-R, right? So like, that's the problems you'll run into, like AI type stuff. You can make those edits and changes, and then you put your stamp on it that, hey, I listened to the recording. I made sure that the transcription was 100% accurate, checked it twice like Santa, and my stamp of approval, and then shoot it off. I just feel like that's the more obvious thing to do, and there are other things that are getting in the way, such as politics, bureaucracy, lobbying groups, stuff like that, right? Like, yeah, hey, our industry is going to be the first to go away, so we need to lobby to make sure that doesn't happen. But that doesn't make it right. If it needs to go away, then it needs to be more efficient. Do you think noted, or sorry, not noted, do you think court reporting is in that category, or am I off my rocker?
No, I mean, I don't think
And I might be missing
you're
something
too.
too. I might be missing something that I don't know, some legal thing that I just don't know. And that's why I said I'm curious about it. I'm not saying it should go that way or should not, but I'm curious to understand why still print things out when you can do it digitally.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that's why there is such a shortage right now, because that's the way things are going to naturally go. People are going to become voice writers, but yeah, you need a neutral party there to produce the transcript for all the parties, so that it's not, one party or the other producing the official transcript.
Right. They're not incentivized to
You have
change it in one
the
direction.
neutral, yeah, you have the neutral third party there. So just and not all states are the same. Some states you don't have to even be licensed to be a court reporter. Like in Florida, they don't have that requirement. So I mean, it's on a state by state basis. Whatever they want to establish as law. But California's wacky in every way. So I'm sure there are many other regulations and statutes and laws that apply to court reporting. But yeah, it'll all go digital eventually, I'm sure, for the time being. And it already kind of has. A lot of our clients are paperless, so they don't do paper transcripts anymore. All digital, and you have your online sort of portal that clients can log into and download their transcripts or email them, or print them out themselves if they want a hard copy. But
Yeah, I just feel like the more an industry does not adapt, just the more expensive it gets for, people like us that are entrepreneurs. It gets more expensive the longer something is, the longer a claim is open, the more expensive it gets. If we're waiting on the court reporter for 10 days, it could be 10 hours. Like, that claim was still open for 10 days and I had to pay, somebody temporary disability to stay off of work while we're waiting for you to transcribe something.
that's
It's just
right.
more expensive for everybody across the board when things are inefficient and slow. Just the time itself actually makes things more expensive.
And that's why we're seeing, so much emphasis on AI and incorporating that in the court reporting field, just with the summaries that agencies provide. And now we're seeing court reporters provide their updated rate sheet saying, if you take my work and put it through an AI software, I must charge you this amount to do so. And you must have my written permission to do so. Yeah, because it's their work.
So are they, maybe that's maybe cover their liability insurance, their professional liability insurance, because something is more likely to go wrong if it's altered.
Yeah, I mean, if, say, a AI produced summary summarizes something incorrectly that the court reporter transcribed correctly, I mean,
Okay. So what's next for noted?
this year, I think we're going to focus more on marketing and networking, getting out there more. I think this second year was a year of growth, more so internally and keeping up with the growth of our first year, and that really coming to fruition our second year and having to sort of balance the two.
The infrastructure had to catch up with the
Correct.
revenue or with business.
Correct. So this year it's back to growth. But yeah, I'm super excited. I think this year is going to be huge for us. Yeah, it'll be great. A lot of conferences coming up and all of that.
Who is your who's your target prospect?
The target prospect is going to be an employer.
An employer.
Yeah. Yeah. Employers, TPAs, carriers, law firms, brokers, the whole realm. But yeah,
So where do you get most of your business from?
employers, any employer that has a high claim count. Yep. And yeah, we do primarily workers' compensation. We do a little bit of civil, but work comp is our main focus.
Okay. Okay. So attorneys use you?
Yes. Yes. The defense firms are the ones that contact us, that we're in contact with all day, every day, the firms setting up the depositions. But I would say that it's mostly employer driven, our business that we get.
Interesting. Okay. How do people get a hold of you?
So notedreporters.com is our website, and all of our contact information is on there, our phone number, emails, and all of that. So we're on LinkedIn too, Instagram.
If they want to use you, the best way is to go online or
If you want to contact us for services, I would say email us at our calendar email. It's just calendar@notedreporters.com, and get you all set up.
what do you know anybody impacted by the fires, the California fires?
No, not personally. Not personally. I think a client of ours had family members who lost their homes, unfortunately. So yeah, hate to hear that. It's awful, but not personally. I don't know anyone. What about you?
Yeah, I've had clients lose their house and business
Did they have insurance?
on their commercial stuff. They did through us. I don't know if they. I assume they did.
Yeah, I'm sure.
If they have a house up there, they have insurance. Like that's a very wealthy area.
Yeah. Well, you know that State Farm pulled out of or dropped 72,000 policies over the last year or so. And did you see that the Rams are moving their game to Arizona State Farm Stadium? I'm like, did that not raise a red flag for anyone?
Man,
No red flag.
is it really?
Yeah.
No, is it really? Yeah, that's a cold move by the NFL.
I could not believe it.
Man, that is funny. Jeez.
Awful.
So one of the people I communicate with via LinkedIn, and actually a future guest of the show, Skylar Romines. She is in property insurance, and she did a great breakdown of the state of insurance in California. I reposted it this morning saying this might be the best post I've ever seen. Honestly,
Really?
it's such a good breakdown. She tells a story of say you sell eggs and you're the largest egg producer in California, and you sell the egg for it costs you $3 to make the egg, and then you sell it for $4. I mean, that's a modest, respectable, it is a for-profit business. So it costs you $3 to feed, house, and deliver these eggs to the store. And you charge the customer $4. And that's how they make money. But then wages have to go up because of a minimum wage law or something like that, right? Just the cost of eggs goes up to $4.50. So now every egg they lose 50 cents. And so they're going to increase the cost of eggs to $5.50. So they can get back to making their $1, even though everything, got more expensive. But in California, you have to apply and get permission to increase your cost to $5.50. So you send that application in, a few months go by, you're still selling eggs at $4 and, or sorry, at $4, losing 50 cents on every single deal, while the red tape is being approved. Bureaucracy is approving your application to increase your rates, and they need more information. They need more data. So you send your financials, you send all of stuff, and another 6 months goes by of no approval. Yet you were selling eggs this entire time at a loss. And then they come back and they say you can't increase you can increase your price from $4 to $4, and so now you're still losing a quarter every deal that you do. And so what they do is they start doing a lot of business outside of California to supplement that, right? But California is larger than all the states combined that they do business, and you can't just supplement losses of California, your largest place, forever. And so you start to leave California.
Well, I don't blame them.
And it was the best post I've ever read, and I probably botched it a little bit too, but it is a perfect, is that a metaphor or analogy? Indiana. That's the perfect metaphor for what is happening in the property insurance space in California.
That's right. It's, if you put a cap on what companies can make or charge, that's, and really what I think California is doing is saying, okay, well, you have to, if you can't get home insurance through a private company, then you have to get insurance through us, the state, and your rates are going to be so much higher through the state than they even would have been through a State Farm or another insurance company. But yeah, they tie the hands of the insurance companies. They're not in business, for charity. They have to make a profit, and it's a free market. It should be up to the consumer if they want to pay those higher rates.
Yep.
Or around.
The market should correct it. Should correct the pricing, because people won't go with the high price ones anymore.
Which would make the market more competitive.
Right. As long as you can stop any sort of collaboration between carriers, not collaboration, what's the right word? People work together to increase prices. I'm really struggling with words today.
It's not collaborate?
Collaborators work together. It's
Starts
really
with a
bothering
C,
me.
though.
Yeah, it's bothering me. I'll think of it. Yeah, search it. Figure it out. Collusion. Yep, collusion. Yes. So as long as collusion is policed, then capitalism will work.
Mm-hmm.
As long as there's not collusion, to where all of them say, hey, here's our new basement. Nobody can go underneath this. If you let the market do its thing, then you get the people that come in and say, all right, hey, we're the low priced option, so we need the business to make it up in volume.
Yep.
And it makes everybody else have to lower their stuff to just stay competitive and not lose everything, right?
That's right. And that should be up to the consumer. Shouldn't be up to the state. And so yeah, I don't blame an insurance company for doing what they have to do to stay in business. I mean, California would have put them out of business staying here without the ability to raise their rates. But I think it's wrong to drop people without them having another policy in place. I don't think it should be an instantaneous sort of thing.
Well, no, I think the law is that you have to let them know at least 60 days prior to the policy renewing.
I don't think that's enough. Not to find another insurance company to take you.
Well, theoretically, at least in commercial insurance, you start working on your renewal 90 days before. And so maybe it's 90 days, not 60 days. Maybe it's 90 days. But I mean, that's 3 whole months to, figure it out. Yeah, I think that's enough. It is. If it's a priority for you, it's enough.
If they give you that much time, then yeah, that's enough. But if it's a instant sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's instant. I don't do personal lines, but.
So, I mean, I saw like an interview with a lady who said she was at her parents' house and she said they just lost their fire coverage a couple weeks ago. They don't have fire insurance now. I'm like,
Well, that
okay,
had to
well, I don't
do.
know how accurate that is, but if that's the case, that's pretty cold.
Well, I mean, they didn't know fires were going to happen, but it was that was when that individual's policy renewed, and if the carrier that they were with was getting rid of their fire coverage, then you have to find a different carrier. Like that, there is an ounce of like I'm okay, you know, feeling bad for people as long as there was an ounce of responsibility, self responsibility that they looked into it and there is no carrier that offers in that space or something like that, and like, all right, dude, yeah, that's a shitty situation.
Yeah,
But like, just to say, well, my carrier didn't offer fire protection anymore at the renewal. Like, all right, well, how many other insurance carriers did you reach out to? If it was 10 and like couldn't find it, all right, yeah, I feel bad for you. But if it was, no, I just renewed it anyways and prayed that there wouldn't be a fire. Like, all right, well, that's your fault.
yeah,
I hate to say it, it's horrible that your house
it's
burnt
awful.
down, but
Yeah,
that was a bad choice. Anyways, yeah, that's it's messed up that they
we're
did
playing
the
at
State
State
Farm
Farm
Stadium.
Stadium. As soon as they said that yesterday, I was
Might need to fact check that. Jamie, can you
Jamie.
uh,
Can you pull that up?
pull it up?
Hold on. Rams play.
Are they playing at the Cardinals Stadium? Arizona Cardinals Stadium. Type that in.
Yeah, at the practice facility of their division rival, the Arizona.
Arizona Cardinals, situated in Glendale, Arizona. State Farm Stadium. Wow. Stands as a premier multi-purpose venue, serving as the proud home of the NFL's Arizona Cardinals. Wow.
I think State Farm was like, it's the least we could do. Offer our stadium up to the Rams.
Well, State Farm is just the name. They don't own it.
Right. No, I know, I know.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that's messed up. Messed up.
yeah, that's bad.
Hmm. So I saw something. Jamie, could you pull up my Twitter?
Okay.
Yeah, pull up X. So I posted something, and it was a newspaper clipping it was an article written, not a newspaper clipping, but it was an article that was written about California, and that California agreed to some sort of bill for whatever, $14 billion or something. It had something to do with water, right?
California voters passed $7.5 billion water bond in 2014.
Yes, in 2014. And it was what are the other details on it?
8 years ago, California voters approved Prop 1, a $7.5 billion water bond to fund water infrastructure projects, including $2.7 billion earmarked specifically for new water storage. Not a single water storage project has completed in
Now,
10 years.
now I don't know if that's true or what, but it was, and that's what I asked. Does anybody know if this is true or not? But that's messed up. That's criminal, is what it is. If that's true, it's criminal.
Oh, yeah. I see.
And you know what'll happen?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. No one will be held accountable. Not one person.
Nope.
Water on. Let's see.
There wasn't even water in the fire hydrant.
Oh, I know. And did you see that the director of power and water for LA gets paid $750,000 a year to make sure that the fire hydrants are
That water?
functioning properly? Yeah.
I don't mean to laugh. If I didn't laugh, I think I'd cry. I don't know. Like, it's just,
The incompetence is scary. It's actually terrifying that people can get away with this. I think it should be criminal. I think people should be prosecuted for their lack of action and responsibility.
yeah. Yeah, I'm not against that, especially in that office. I mean, there are consequences in my world. If I do something wrong, I get fired.
If I don't do my job, I get fired.
Yeah. I get fired. I no longer have an income. I can't put food on the table. Those are the consequences. I just feel like there's no consequences. I mean, and if there are, That'll be a few years from now, whenever the elections go around or whatever.
Yeah. People will forget.
Yeah, then I just become a lobbyist or whatever.
Yeah.
Just so just gross, man. Like that whole swampy. If you quit everything that you're doing, and you got a job in the government. I think it's a completely, totally different world bubble
Yeah.
that is just disgusting. It's gross. What it's turned into. I'm sure there's great people in it.
Yes. You have to sell your soul, I think, to a degree.
I think not even to get in it. Once you're in it, I think everyone does.
Yeah. Even if you don't intend to. You're like, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to stay true to who I am. No, you have to, I think, agree to certain things in order to get what you want through and included and things. And so it's all I think, quid pro quo business.
Yeah, it's weird. I was thinking about my property taxes actually, and I go on whatever the Treasury website to pay these things. There's the lady's face is like plastered all over the homepage. The treasurer, Orange County treasurer or whatever. I don't know her name. It got me thinking because I was mad about how expensive my property taxes are, and then now I have somebody to be mad at is her. And I think that here's my chain of thoughts was okay. Now don't like her. Why isn't she doing everything she can to lower this? Because this is ridiculous of what I'm paying. I wonder if she's ever tried to lower taxes. And I think that I answered myself and no, because she thinks that this is her money. And I think, it's not, I think everybody in government sees it as their money, their budget, their revenue, their income. And it's not. I don't know. They just have like a sense of ownership over the money that they're charging the local people, the American people, whatever. And I think that that's how they think about it, is that it is their money
Yeah,
when
they're
it comes
they're
in.
employed by the state, so I'm sure they are incentivized to not lower anything for the taxpayers. That's who
Yeah,
pays their salaries. The
yeah.
more the taxpayer pays, the higher their salaries can potentially be.
You know what? Income tax was supposed to be temporary. It was supposed to be temporary. I think it went into in World War II or World War One, and or it may have been World War II, but it was supposed to be temporary. Hey, like we're running out of money. It was World War One, pretty sure. Running out of money. We needed to manufacture a lot of things. We needed to, make sure that we had enough ammunition, enough steel, enough blah, 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 gasoline and all that. And the government needed to pay for all this stuff. And so they put an income tax, federal income tax, and it was supposed to fund those things. So something that was supposed to be temporary has become the primary revenue source for, tell you what, so if anybody listening to this thinking about running for office, anybody that runs for president that says we need to get rid of the income tax, you have my vote 100%. I don't care what you think about anything else. Don't care. Don't care. Don't care about any social issues, nothing. If anybody wants to get rid of the income tax, you have my vote. I promise you. And I will get you a lot more votes as well with my millions and millions and millions of followers.
Yes. Yeah, no, I think the system is pretty much rigged against people who produce in society and more so favors those who don't produce. Dad would be so proud we're talking about Atlas Shrugged. But it's true, and it's so evident, especially being in California. You see it a lot clearer out here, producers versus non-producers.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll end on this. Well, I got two things. One, this is going to be analytically the most watched episode in history because I'm pretty sure Dad is going to put this on repeat for the next 3 to 5 years.
He will have it on a loop.
Just
He
a
won't
loop.
turn it off.
Just a loop. So thanks for that.
Thanks, Dad.
But I read something pretty interesting, or I learned something pretty interesting the other day, and I think I'm just eager to share it. So we'll end on a little educational thing, and then we'll jump off. And it's about believing what the government tells you, or what anybody tells you. I'm sorry, not the government, just anybody,
Mhm.
what their agenda is. A lot of people don't even wonder what's their incentive, what's their blah blah blah. So there was a guy born in like 1890. His name was Edward Barney. Have you ever heard of him? A lot of people have never heard of this guy. The 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 impact that he's had on he may be he may be single handedly the reason the world looks the way it looks now, at least our country. Edward Barnes. He was born in like 1890, but in 1920 there was a orc that was desperate to increase their sales, and so they reached out to Edward. He was a marketing guy, advertising is what it was back then, right?
Mhm.
Advertising guy, and they're like, "Hey, we need to increase our distribution of bacon, of pork." And so he took on this project, and what he came up with was a marketing propaganda concept of getting people to think, because he thought the masses are stupid. These were his thoughts, that the masses are sheep and stupid. And all they need is to be told what to do. And if you do it correctly, they'll do anything that you want. I mean, like, people can get talked into murdering a stranger, like, in an hour.
Mhm.
If you tell them the right way, or you have the proper authority, you wear a lab coat, you can get anybody to do anything, you know? Because, well, he's a doctor. So anyways, he thought people were stupid and sheepish, which might be some truth to that. Well, I think the results
That is
say
very true.
that's true. So he came up with a propaganda messaging campaign of bacon and eggs are expert approved. That was the phrase he came up with. Expert approved. And now, because bacon and eggs are expert approved of a hearty breakfast is expert approved by bacon and eggs. So ever since 1921, bacon has been a breakfast staple. So this guy goes on to shape several industries with propaganda. And then he coined the phrase, because he didn't like propaganda is a hard word. It's hard on the tongue. Propaganda. It's evil sound. And it kind of is what it is, right? But he coined the phrase public relations. So now, every time you hear public relations, PR, marketing, just think propaganda. That's what it is, whether it's coming from a company or whether it's coming from government or whether it's blah, blah, blah. But
Isn't propaganda
government,
traditionally government?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he did a lot of work with the government as well. So in World War One, he, I want to say Chile, but I don't know if this is right. There was a foreign country that he helped rebels or the people overthrow, because we needed it for something to do with World War One. And marketing guy, an advertising guy, put out a propaganda campaign in this country and then the people overthrew the government because of this propaganda campaign that they did. Yeah. Edward Barnes. He,
Fascinating.
yeah.
Yeah, people are very easily manipulated. Very easily manipulated.
Have you seen the experiment with the shocking thing where people press the button?
Where they're not actually being shocked, but
Yeah.
but because it looks like someone is pressing the button, they like react.
Okay. No.
Oh, okay.
So imagine a room, and there is a doctor that is facing the wall, sitting down at a desk. And then there is a desk here with the person in the experiment.
Mhm.
And they're looking at this wall. So they're looking at this wall. The doctor is looking at this wall up against the wall. He's sitting, writing results or whatever. So they're not looking at each other eye to eye. but he has a coat on. He's a doctor, of course. And in the next room, there is somebody that is strapped down to a chair and connected to this machine that will send bolts of electricity to them.
I do know what you're
Okay. And so
about.
the person in the experiment gets to see them strapped down. Now, this is all kind of fake. They're not getting electrocuted or anything.
Right.
But the instructions are, you need to sit down at this table by the doctor. They're telling this. Sit down at this table and ask them a question. If they do not answer or the answer is incorrect, you press button 1. And then you press the button, and then you crank it up to 2 to prepare for the next question. If they get it wrong or don't answer, press it again, and then you crank it up to 3. And you keep going and going. If you get to level 5, that could kill somebody, but it goes up to level 8. And
They're like, okay.
the wall that separates the rooms from the people pressing the button and the people screaming is very thin, paper thin.
So you can hear
Just one layer of drywall. You can hear this person, and then after level 5, it goes silent. And so whenever people got to level 5, they don't hear him anymore, and they're like, doctor, I didn't hear anything. They do show concern, but the doctor, all he says is nothing like magical. It's the instructions, or he says something to this effect. The instructions are to keep going. Please proceed. The instructions are to keep going. Please proceed. That's the only thing that the doctor was allowed to say this entire experiment. You know how many people went to level 5? And they were told level 5 kills people, but it goes to level 8.
Probably all of them.
100%.
Yes.
You know how many people went to 8?
100%.
70%. I think it's like 66%. Like 70% of people went to level 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People love to be told what to do.
By an authority figure.
If they don't have to make a choice, they love it.
That's
the easiest
scary.
option.
That is scary.
Yeah.
And they did this. 100% of people killed the person.
Mm-hmm.
Because a doctor, somebody that was wearing a coat.
For an experiment.
That just said, the instructions are to keep going. Please proceed. It's scary and disappointing, I think.
Well, I think it proves that a lot of people don't want to think for themselves. And the authority is always right. And I have to do what I'm told, or I'm a bad person, or I'm in trouble.
So replace the doctor with the government.
Yep.
And then it becomes dangerous.
Yeah, we've seen that. People are manipulated into doing the right thing or the virtuous thing for the sake of everyone else.
But you know what else Edward Bernays did?
What?
Sorry, I just thought of this. But he was responsible for the Virginia Slims cigarettes.
Yeah.
That's why so many women. So before Virginia Slims, very, very few women smoked Marlboro, but he put a propaganda campaign together for Virginia Slims, and smoking amongst women skyrocketed.
Wow.
Because they saw, if you smoke, you get thin. And there was actually some truth to it as a meal replacement. Some people use cigarettes as meal replacements. And so, yeah.
Just like the slim design, more feminine, yeah. It's amazing what marketing can do.
Propaganda. Yeah. Yeah. It's scary. So yeah, that was something, so I like learning little, history bits like that to get the origin story of, why things happen. But I thought that was a great visual of question people's incentives. It just got me thinking about my property taxes and everything else. So
yeah.
Anyways, thanks for being on Strong Like Bull. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So let's go out in a few days.
All right, cool. Thank you.